Hello and welcome to the Tuesday dev stream. We're going to be working on hopefully mostly art stuff today. I've got this waterfall grotto that I just kind of started the other day. I'll walk out here so you can get a little context. So here's where you access it. You swim into this waterfall and then you get to here. Hey, Tor XZ, welcome. This is the Co game. I don't know what that is. The Co HH game. I don't know what that is. This game is called Songs of Glimmerwick. It's a Witch Academy RPG where the magic of the world is music. Hello, Jose. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for dropping by the stream. Boomer Core, thank you so much for the kind words. Really appreciate that. Okay, so I think that it just looks a little bit like empty. I think we need, so we have some of the big shapes. It's a little bit dark, but I think it should be because it's, you know, it's a waterfall cove. I'm wondering if the caustics should be stronger. I can barely see them. Yeah, I think you guys can probably not even see what's going on, but there are some caustics happening on the roof of the cave. So I'm going to increase the power of the caustics, and I'm just going to try to fill some of these nooks and crannies with smaller rocks, particularly around the shores of the water here, because the water is quite bright in relation to the rocks, and that's going to be a really important silhouette for us. That's the place of highest contrast. So I just want to make that detailed, and if that's detailed, I think that it should look better. Yeah, hidden waterfall rooms, always necessary. Tor XZ asks, are you a solo dev? Not a solo dev. It's myself, my wife, and one other programmer. We have 3 full-timers, and then we also have a contract animator and a contract composer. Hey, thank you so much for the wish list, Jose. Really appreciate the support. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Yes, that's right. We are Eastshade Studios. We made the game where you play as a traveling artist. That's correct. Okay, so I'm just going to turn on the waterfall cove here and let's head in. And this person standing here is placeholder. Maybe there should be someone else for placeholder right now. Not that it really matters, but she's sitting and it's a little bit weird. Maybe we'll do like the beekeeper. At least the alchemist is, no, they're playing an instrument. Maybe I should do, I'll try to, maybe shopkeeper. Shop. Gotta be someone. Stands. How about music? Music box vendor. Yeah, I think that this person is suitable. Go with this person. And we'll just flip them. Whoa. We'll just go with that person for now. I think that works. I'm just going to make sure that the interactive, yep, is set to that skeleton. Perfect. And what else? Yeah, I think adding some rock support hopefully will go a long way. Maybe just some pebbles and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and check this file out. I'm going to dock the game view down here. We can kind of see what we're doing and then work in this tiny itty bitty space so that I can watch what I'm doing right here on the camera and place things down here. Hopefully that'll work. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the whole thing needs to be like smaller. So if I zoom out the virtual camera here, I don't know. It's like one of our only full frame interiors. And I wonder if it should just be a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller on screen. Yeah, if we did, we'd have to cover this in black. I think, yeah, that's probably for the best. Let's go ahead and leave it a little bit zoomed out like that. But now we have the job of covering these sides in black. So for starters, we can just put a black plane back there, see how far that gets us. Let's add a 3D objects plane, and I'm just going to look for a black material. Just black, pure black. Remove the mesh collider. I'll go ahead and do the plane replacement. Save us a few polygons. Not that that will make any difference whatsoever. Get in the habit of it. And then I'll just move this plane. I'll keep moving it back until it's behind everything. You know, I could probably actually just give this material back here, give it a black background. I think that would probably be fine. Let me delete that. Okay, now let me go ahead and save this. And we should have black all the way around. Oh man. I changed this. I don't know why this prefab's not updating, but hopefully it will. We also have the water right here. See, we can't have that. Got to be black right there. So maybe we do need some black planes. Let me undo the deleting of that plane, because I think we might need it like right here. I want to make sure that the water isn't poking through there on the left side. So just placing this plane here, make sure it's nice and big. Just covering up the water there on the left side. And I'll do the same thing on the right side. Something like that. Okay, let's give that a save. Okay, so we've got black all around. I think that we might need some stronger black shadowing on the left and right side. So let's go like pure black fade. We'll call that material pure black fade. And then I'll go ahead and assign this to the pure black fade. I'll give that pure black fade a perfect gradient, a radial gradient. And I've got the material set to shadow. I think if I just increase the opacity to full and then save it, we should be able to get our pure black. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so now we've got the ability to fade to pure black. We'll just stretch that out and just make sure that's really moved off to the side. Give that a save. Let's see how we're looking there. I think that works. That just sort of obfuscates the side there. And then I'll do another one over here on the right side. I will rotate it, shrink it down. Really, I'm trying to cover up all this junk right here. So let's try to get it in there. Give it a save. Okay, so we've missed it a little bit. Try it again. There we go. That seems to be covering it. Looks like we need maybe one more on the top. So I'll go ahead and duplicate it, move it all the way up to the top and rotate it. Give it a save. I'm looking right here to cover that up with pure black. Okay, so we missed it. I'll move it down a little bit. Save. Looks like we need to make it just a little bit bigger, move it down a little bit. And it actually looks like there's some rock poking in front of it. So I'll move it back more toward the camera. There we go. That's covering it a little bit better, but I really want to get it covering that cragginess at the top. I think something like that works. I think that works. Maybe it shouldn't be fading to black. Maybe it should be fading to some other color. Like it could be fading to like a dark blue. Maybe that's fun. Or like, yeah, I think that that looks pretty cool. Personally. Now that we are fading to that blue, let's go ahead and get this one. Pure black. And this is not a pure black fade anymore, so we might want to call this something else. Oh, interesting. So that one is like totally... that one is really actually quite big. Maybe we want to leave that there. Maybe that's just adding a little bit of dynamism there on the right side. So we don't want to call this pure black fade anymore. I'll call this like... Oops. Fake light pure black. No, 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 no. That's not what we want. Come on now. Interesting. Oh, there it is. Okay, pure black fade. We'll call this like pure blue fade. Something like that. And maybe we'll make it a touch darker. Yeah, maybe this one right here, we just want to shrink that one down and move it up a little bit. Clear out some of that mist there. Okay. And I was going to increase the lightness of the caustics in here. So here's, we got our, well, that's a directional light. That's actually not what I want. Here's our caustics. Our 2 spotlights got intensity 1. I'm just going to try going 1.5. And let's see if that does anything. Actually, I don't know which... I don't know if that 1 is just going to change right down to a 1.5. Or if that 1.5 is going to change right to a 1. No, it only keys the rotation. It doesn't key the intensity of the light at all. Okay. I'll put the game view back up here, and now I've increased the intensity of the caustics, and maybe I should go even more intense just to really make sure we can see a difference and then dial it back. So I've increased it to 1.8, and I'll go ahead and save that prefab, and I will I'll check this out. In play mode. Oh, interrupting is no problem, Jose. If I'm streaming, I'm definitely open to chatting. Appreciate the activity. What have you learned from your previous games in terms of receptions, reviews, and more technical stuff like optimization, bugs, gameplay, etc.? Well, let me think about that a little bit. Go into this waterfall. Oh yeah, I think it looks much more spectacular with the crazier caustics, and because the waterfall, you know, we can imagine the waterfall is creating a lot of caustic activity, and I think it looks great. It looks a lot better now, actually, and it sounds good too. I don't know if you guys can hear it. This guy's just chatting up a storm with nobody. Cool. I like that a lot. Okay. Lessons learned in terms of receptions, reviews, and more technical stuff. There's, I mean, there's a few lessons, I guess, in terms of, there's really not a lot of design takeaway, I think, from reviews. I guess one thing I've learned is that there's a bunch of different reasons people like any particular game. And it's not always the reasons that you had as a designer. Sometimes people will like something about your game, like is the primary reason they like your game. It is not even something that you ever cared about as a designer. I've particularly had that experience with Eastshade. Just like some people just like to wander in the game and look at the nature, and it's like almost like a tech demo to them, and that's what they like about the game. That's not what I like about the game, but people like it. I've also learned that remappable input is very important to for a very small percentage of people, but for those people who want it, it's like everything to them. They get really upset when they don't have it. So I've always known about it for accessibility, but it seems even broader than accessibility. Even some people, it's not about accessibility. They just really like to change the keys a certain way, and they can't play without it like that. I guess it kind of makes sense. So yeah, no more games without remappable input for us. I think optimization is too big of a topic probably, but certainly we would have, yeah, I guess the thing I've learned with optimization is that it's too hard to, you can't ever win in optimization. It's never going to be enough for people. If you're making a high fidelity game with a free camera, you can never win that battle unless you have like $100 million. And even then, it seems like 60% maybe of studios, they don't succeed at pleasing people with regards to optimization. So it's kind of a no-win scenario. That's why I have no plans of ever trying to make a free camera high fidelity game ever again. I want to focus more on fixed camera games where optimization isn't quite as much of a battle. Yeah, bugs in gameplay. Then these are all really huge topics. There's such big topics. So that's all I got for the moment. Hopefully that probably wasn't very helpful, but much as I got. And how would you apply it to Songs of Glimmerwick? Well, we've already applied it to Songs of Glimmerwick in the sense that we are not doing a free camera game anymore. We're, fixed camera top down. Optimization is way, way, way easier with regards to that. So that's one thing that we've done. Menacing Methods, hello and welcome, says, how many people are working with you on this game? We have 3 full-timers, myself included. It's myself, my wife, and 1 other full-time programmer. Hello, Shafay. Higher RS Game Studio, hello and welcome. Wish you all the best. Hey, really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm also an indie dev. Rock on. Nice to meet you. Currently developing my own game. I often look up to you as a source of inspiration to get through the challenges of working solo. Well, that's very kind of you. That's very kind. I'm flattered. I don't know what to say. RCMC. Quick question. What software would you say is better, Unity or Unreal? How dare you? How dare you ask such a question? You're opening a can of worms here. Opening a can of worms. Obviously, they're good for different things, but I would say that they're both, they're both in a league above everything else, Unity and Unreal. They're the most tried and true battle-tested commercial game engines on the planet. There's nothing that comes close to them in terms of battle-testedness and size of ecosystem and all that. So they're both very in leagues of their own for sure. I would say Unreal is better optimized out of the box. Out of the box, I'd say that's what it has going for it. And I would say, and it also maybe has a prettier looking lighting model, again, out of the box. And with Unity, I would say it has a much more blank slate out of the box. It's easier to make it be what you want to be in terms of architecture and I think even in terms of lighting pipeline, well, I think it's probably inarguable Unity is more flexible in terms of lighting pipeline. They've got the scriptable render pipelines, but also their shader ecosystem is pretty open as well. So I would say it's more tabula rasa. Valley of the Wind, hello. Will you be seeking beta testers at any point? We definitely will. We're going to be running a closed beta closer to launch for sure. Living the dream. Yeah, it is a dream. It's great. All right. Good luck in your learning, Shafay. Learning Unreal Engine 5. Saravati, hello and welcome. Do you have any anecdotal insight into things like customer acquisition cost for eShade on Steam, or was all of your marketing organic, unpaid? Yeah, we did no paid marketing whatsoever on eShade. We've never done any paid marketing for anything. Yeah, so no, don't have any insight into customer acquisition cost. But I do know we spent a lot on marketing, like not in terms of paid advertising, but just in terms of authoring content and planning and putting work into all that for sure. RCMC plays says trying to get into making games, but modeling and sculpting is really hard. Yeah, I would say, pick a specialization. That's typically what I tell people. It's like, it's hard to do everything. I would say pick coding or pick art and then really hone in on one of those. It's very hard to get good at coding and art at the same time. They're completely different things. It's like trying to become a pro snowboarder and let's say a fighter pilot or something. It's like trying to do those things at the exact same time, and they just don't really have a lot of overlap between each other, and they're just completely different disciplines, and there's too much to them. That's right. No paid marketing, Jose. I mean, paid marketing is pretty niche, honestly. It really is. Like, it's very, most people don't do paid marketing. I mean, most games that have ever been released don't do paid marketing. Even most games that sell well don't do paid marketing. It's not that effective a lot of the time. Of course, it depends on your game, but it's a very small piece of the pie for your overall marketing efforts. Way more important stuff. Marketing costs money, but it's not in paid ads. That's just a really niche little thing. What gave you the most returns? I don't even know. Oh, what gave you the most returns as far as marketing? Most marketing avenues don't necessarily immediately pay off, but additional visibility compounds. Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, it's hard to point to any particular thing. I think the most important thing is just having a Steam page that people want to play the game, when they see it, having the marketing assets show the game very well, and having a game that, people want to play. These are the most important things. Trying to optimize a potential marketing campaign for my project pretty soon. All right. Well, good luck. Yeah, sorry, I don't have too many concrete takeaways. I guess content marketing has worked pretty well for us in general. But I really don't know. There's not a lot you can do other than all the normal stuff, all the basic stuff. You want to do all your basic stuff. You want to do your, your PR outreach. You want to do your press releases. You want to do your reaching out to Let's Players and YouTubers and streamers and things. And all of that stuff is handled by our PR firm. So I would say if you feel like your game has some organic lift already and you feel like you've got a significant potential fan base, then I think that hiring a PR firm can be a really great idea. And I'm actually trying to remember, Saravati, if you've showed me your game before. Let me know if you've ever shown me the game that you're working on, and maybe jog my memory as to what it was. Jose, I think I remember you mentioning good games market themselves. I did make a video that marketing is probably not your problem. I'm not someone who says that necessarily good games. Well, I would never say good games sell themselves. I would never say that. I think that sometimes people interpret me saying that based on my marketing is not the problem video. But I don't think good games sell themselves. And I think that actually making a game that people want is more important than making a good game. There's a lot of overlap between a good game and a game that people want. But good game is not necessarily a game that people want to buy. They're different things. I think that the games that sell themselves are games that people want to buy. So making a game that people want to buy sells itself to a certain extent. Although you'd be insane to spend $1 million making one of these games that people want to buy and to not do any sort of marketing effort. You're kind of it's just foolish, really. It's making a game that people want to buy is so incredibly difficult. You would never want to squander that opportunity by not giving a serious, commercially competitive marketing effort. It makes sense, but the only people I know who write the same code that I use are busy, and working for free isn't really an option, so want to learn both. Gotcha. So you want to be a solo. All right. I feel ya. Well, it's very fun. I really enjoy it. How do you make art for a 2D game? The way I imagine is painting a canvas or a stage separating foreground and background. It really depends on the game. Yeah, it really depends on the game. In our case, like, our game's not really 2D, so yeah, there's so many different ways to do it. But our game is authored more like a 3D game. So we have, 2D sprites on billboards or little pop-up models. Oops. I just popped out my scene mode. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I was just going to show Coomer Core our... So this is how our game looks. Of course, I got the UI showing, so that's very distracting. Let me just turn that off real quick. So our game is like a mix. We've got these, these trees are illustrated, then they're on a little card. And then we also have some low poly proxies. But this is very kind of a rare workflow that we use. But every game is completely different. Sarvati's saying, don't remember if I've shown the game. Seeing a tactical JRPG looking game. I've definitely seen quite a few, but there was one game in mind that I thought your game might be, but that clarifies for me that it's not that game. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Quick snippet of fishing mini game. Let's take a look at Saravati's game. I love looking at people's games. This is cool. This is pretty. I like it. Oh, I like that little slide. It's very like Ocarina of Time for some reason. Get those vibes. Fishing mini game. This is cool. Wow. Very involved fishing. Cool. All right. Well, that's looking very good, Saravati. Who is your? Are you making the models and art and stuff, or do you have someone you're working with? Menacing methods. Missed answer to the question about how many. It's 3 of us full time, include myself included. So it's myself, my wife, and 1 full-time programmer. We're 3. It's not hard to work Coomer Core. I don't know. I feel like it'd be harder to make a traditional 2D game where you're like messing with Z order and stuff. For me, it's very natural. Yeah, for me, it's almost easier. I think getting depth right is easier in 3D than it is in 2D. We just don't really have to worry about depth because we just build it all like 3D, like, in a 3D world. We just place all these little billboards and things. And yeah, I like it. But there are certain things that are difficult about it. Okay, cool, Saravati. That's very cool. All right. Nice. Well, that's great. That's fun. Yeah, I would say the most important part for your marketing effort, is going to be your marketing assets in your trailer. I think it's underestimated. People really underestimate it. It's not like, your trailer's 10% of the pie and your PR outreach is 20% of the pie and paid ads are 20%. It's not like that. It's like your trailer is 95% of the pie and then everything else fits in that little. I mean, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but really the fundamental game that you're making and the trailer that you put in front of people is it's everything. So I would say focus really hard on making a beautiful game and a beautiful trailer that shows itself well quickly, and you see if that has any organic lift. And if it doesn't have any organic lift, I wouldn't even focus on any sort of marketing efforts. I just think it'll be a waste of time. That's my feeling on it. If it does have organic lift, then there are some things to think about, and maybe you want to get a PR firm. Interstate X64 says, show us your game. I'm new. Are you talking to someone else in the chat, or are you talking to me? Go with 3 trailers. All right. 1 to just get on Steam, 1 polished gameplay trailer, and then 1 polished cinematic trailer. Well, that sounds like a lot. Initial 1 just to get online with Steam. And don't underestimate that one. I mean, I would treat I think one problem some indies have is they don't treat every single thing they put out with maybe enough seriousness. Actually, I don't know, because it works for some people to just sort of open the floodgates and show everything. But at least the way we do it, every single thing we put out is very, we put a ton of energy into every single thing. So if it's our announcement trailer, I mean, we'll spend months, like we'll try to make it the best thing ever. We'll put a lot into it. Like we don't put out trailers that aren't, we don't put out unpolished trailers. We don't put out lackluster trailers or any trailers like, we just want to get this out there sort of thing. We always put a lot of muscle behind everything. Menacing Methods says, how did you learn and what made you want to jump into game development? I initially, my background is 3D environment art, and I learned mostly at home, but also I went to a little trade school class, a 3-month class taught by some people in the industry, which was really cool. That school is closed down now. They're called Future Poly, but I learned a lot there as well. And I initially got into the industry working as an intern at a studio called ArenaNet on Guild Wars 2. And the thing that made me want to make games, I already wanted to do 3D art. I knew I wanted to do that. The game that made me want to make games, the game that made me want to do environment art is Half-Life 2. I played that game and I was like, I want to build places that people go, and I want to, make people feel stuff when they're there. Neon Dero, thank you very much for the follow. Also, Nirla, if you're still around, thank you very much for the follow. I missed your follow. I guess I had my sound off. Grasscutter67, appreciate the follow. Appreciate it. Okay. Interstate X64. If you want to check out our game, says that they want to see the game, please don't hesitate to pop over to our Steam page there and check out our trailer and our screenshots. We're working on a Witch Academy RPG where the magic of the world is music. Jose asked, do you play a lot of games yourself? I would say yes, I do. I have a baby now, so a little bit less time than I used to. I also play a lot of table tennis. Probably too much table tennis is very much cutting into my gaming time. But I just beat Baldur's Gate 3 last night. Waiting on the first trailer. Gotcha. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to do is go into our City Cove here. Waterfall City Cove. I'm going to turn it on so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to put the game mode down here so I can see. And then we're going to pop into Waterfall City Cove, and I just want to fill it with some rocks and things. So let's get some pebbles. Here, let's see if we can find some. Let's constrain our search to models. All right, let's see here. Menacing Methods, really appreciate the follow. Thank you very much. And Interstate X64, thank you for the follow as well. Okay, so we've got all manner of variety of rocks I don't know if these are going to necessarily work. They might. Let's try, let's see if we can get this dragon brown rock, if there's a different version of it. We could just make a different version of it. Oh, unfortunately they're broken into a bunch of different. Oh man, if we just had a darker version of this rock, I actually think that that would be pretty useful. Because it's the right like detail level. Ah man, but do I really want to version off all these different materials? Let's put this one over here. Sometimes I wish there was a way to darken things, not at the material level, but at the mesh level or at the object level. I'm sure you could make a like some kind of script for it. I mean, I can do it with vertex color, but I don't have a way of touching the vertex color. Okay, so that's not working. Let's maybe try like boulders. Interstate asks, when do you expect to release? We have not announced a release date yet, but thank you for asking. We've been working on it for a very long time. Been working on it. Our last game shipped in 2019, and we've been working on it ever since then. But we're definitely closer to the end than we are to the start, I can say that. Let's go ahead and go find, go ahead and save this prefab. I'm gonna find our little boulders over here. We've got some, you know, maybe this could work. Maybe the Seaflower rock. Let's copy the Seaflower rock. Yeah, you know, I think that that just might be the thing. And let's go back into that city cove. Longer than a couple months. Hopefully not several years. So somewhere between a couple months and several years. Hopefully not several years. That would be kind of crazy. We don't have enough money to do that. So if it did take several years, it would mean that we got a publisher, which is not out of the question, but I think it would be hard to find a publisher that wanted to give us a good enough deal. Publishers are really huge fans of the free money sort of deals where they can just invest very little and get back, guaranteed to get back their investment plus a bunch more. So hopefully we can finish before we need publisher funding. If we do end up need funding, we'll probably go to personal investors first and see if we can cobble together enough from that. And if we can't, only then would we be forced to go to a publisher. There's no lack of publishers we could go to, but I think that, you know, we've had probably at least 20 publishers reach out to us, but I just don't know what kind of deals they would be looking for. I know back when we were negotiating publishers with eShade, kind of deals that people want, that the publishers wanted were, in my opinion, very, very one-sided. Interstate X64 asks, how do you bake the 3D assets into 2D? I've seen this technique here and there. So for us, I mean, most of our, actually, I have a really, really good YouTube video for you that I made about this topic. It's incredibly in-depth, and it's exactly this topic. And it's like 12 minutes long, and it's really polished. Let's see, here we go. This one. Let me get the link to it. Copy link. So this video right here, in case anyone is curious, is our whole process for our projection process, our 2D projection process. Yeah, that's right. And sometimes we use completely modeled stuff. It's a lot of mix of just illustrations on sprites, and then sometimes low poly proxy with texture projection, and then sometimes straight up 3D. All right. Well, I hope you enjoy that video. Let me see if there's a black rocks material that, because right now the value is a little bit too bright. There we go. Look at that. It's perfect. I think. That one might be good. Let's save that. Let's save that and see what we got. I think maybe we want even darker than that, maybe. So here's a very dark one. How about this one? Let's try this material. Yeah, that one seems like the perfect value, I think. For some reason, I'm not seeing as much detail as I would feel like I should be seeing here. Go ahead and move that a little bit more forward. I think that water line somehow is getting all messed up. Oh, you know, it's because I'm moving I really don't want to have this rotated. That was foolish. I really want to be rotating the entire prefab. There we go. Try that. There we go. Now the water line is a lot more reasonable. And I might even want to move this like further in here to the side. And maybe we do need a darker. I don't know. I can't decide. Yeah, I think actually we do need a darker material. Let's look for a darker material. This is Black Rock's light. Let's go. There's Black Rock's gray. That's not what we want. And then there's just Black Rocks. This one is really dark. Yep, that's the correct value. That's what we need. That's actually the perfect value. Ray Castley. Yeah, sometimes I manage to do it pretty good. Sometimes I do get derailed, particularly when someone asks a question that that I have a lot to say about. I try to. It's a good exercise though in not blabbing too much. I try to just say the most important things and not get carried away. Although sometimes I fail, but I try. Okay, I think that looks better there, that silhouette detail. Let's see if we can find some other Black Rocks. So bring in this one. This one's pretty huge. I want one with like a lot of details. Seaflower rocks. Try number 10. This one looks great. Let's try to put this one off in the corner here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's like this black triangle here that looks really bad. And I just want to cover it up with other rocks. So I'm going to unpack this prefab. Unpack prefab. And I'm going to grab just the rock part out of it. And the shadow and everything, I'm just going to delete that. We don't need a shadow back here. And I'm going to just try to scale that up and give it a save. I just want to see how it sits in there. It looks like it can work. We need to change it to Black Rocks material. If I just set it down here, make it a little bigger, shove it back there. Let's see how we doing here. Unfortunately, it has a lot of red in it, and I just don't think it's right. Let's version off the Black Rocks material. I'm going to duplicate the Black Rocks material, and I'm going to call it Black Rocks Grotto. And then we're going to get this value absolutely perfect. And every single Black Rock in here, we're going to make sure is using the Black Rocks Grotto material. So Black Rocks Grotto. And now we should have perfectly granular control. Let me rotate this and shove it up a little bit here. Just rotate it a little bit more. Raise it a little. Yeah, that's better. I think that's better. Now, what I want is I want to mess with the value. And this is so important. Pushing around the colors and values. I think that might be like what makes that might be, you know, the most important part for the big read. I always wonder sometimes I see games and all the individual assets look pretty good, but the game doesn't read well. It looks really bad. And I think that the magic might be in the in this part, just making sure all the materials are balanced with one another to create a nice color palette. I'm going to go desaturate texture, and then I'm going to add a little bit of blue into it to try to match the color of the other rocks, because it's looking a little bit red there. Now it's sitting in there a lot better. It's actually sitting in there perfectly. I maybe want to do another, some more black rocks. Let me raise my blind here. It's getting so dark in here. No, I might have to turn. Now, I think my white balance is going to be complete trash. Yeah, this unacceptable white balance. Still pretty bad white balance. I'm kind of blue. The trouble is I'm blue on my right side, but I'm orange on my left side. But maybe it'll have to do. What I could do . Okay, I bounced my lamp off the wall there. And I'll just let it auto white balance. Not looking good, but what can you do? So I just want some more rocks, black rocks. Are they not called? They're called sea flower rocks. And I'm just going to grab the model for them. Look at this one. This one's going to add so much detail if we just stick that one in there. It can add so much silhouette detail. Scale it way down, and we'll just make sure we got that Black Rock's Grotto material on there. Give it a save. Unfortunately, we will need a water line for this. That looks good. This one is kind of getting lost. I'm going to raise it a little bit so we can see the water line. And this water line material seems to be not the correct water line material. We might need a brighter one. Save that. Okay, well now that water line material is insane. So I guess we'll stick with the dark one. I'll move the water line closer to the rocks so that they have like less prominent water line. For anyone wondering, how I'm getting, like, some of these rocks have this beautiful water line because these are 2D drawn rocks and I just float them above the water. How do we have this water line as if the water's interacting with it? The trick is to just copy the entire thing and move it down and put a special material on it that makes it wobble. Makes it wobble like this. You can see it wobbling, and it basically puts this white wash over the entire material, and it makes it look like they're sitting in the water. So for all the other stuff, I'm using a soft intersect material. And for the illustration, the illustrated rocks that just sit on top of the water, I use this, just doubling up the billboard for it, just floating it right underneath, and then putting this oscillated material on it. And as you can see, it's totally, look at this. It's not even, it doesn't look right from this angle, but from the player angle, it looks perfect. It's kind of genius. I thought of it myself. I wonder if there's a darker water line, because this water line looks really bright. No, it actually doesn't. It looks fine. So that silhouette edge looks way better. I think I'm going to need to put some more Seaflower rocks over here to cover up this part a little bit, because I'll go ahead and flip this, flip it. And I just want to cover up some of this stuff because I don't like what's going on right here with the water. I might even have to just completely remove it because it looks pretty bad. But we'll see if we can cover it in a nice way, because this is looking pretty ugly. That actually looks pretty great. Just make sure to get our correct Blackrock's Grotto material on there. Yeah, that looks great. Even looks like I can maybe move it forward a little bit. Maybe these ones are a little too black for whatever reason. We'll go Blackrock's Light on that one. Yeah, for some reason, I feel like that sits better. I don't know why. I don't like whatever garbage is going on right here. So maybe I want to cover that with one more black rock material. Wow, this one is insane. I don't think we need that one. Maybe this one, more tame. Sort of scale that one down. This one seems to be very versatile. Let's stick it right over the top of this, and I'm gonna try it just without a waterline material, see how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and put that Blackrock's Grotto material on there. Yeah, that's good. Cool. I think that we might need a point light around the area of this guy right here. RCM says, what part of a game would you say is a good point to start, like code terrain, the player model, or the story? I think it depends on the kind of game, but generally speaking, if you just want to get started and get going, I like to start with player input and the avatar movement. So I like to start with just getting the, your basic avatar moving around in response to player input. I think that really gets things going. As far as where to take it from there, story, you'd really only start with story if you were making like a super story-oriented game. So we're talking about a linear adventure game or a visual novel or something like that. Then I think story is a decent starting point. I think any game that is more systemic, I would think story would be kind of not a good starting point. And terrain, that could be if you're making like a very visual game where the world is important. I think that could be decent. I kind of started there with Eastshade. I started with first-person controls, and then I just wanted to get a good screenshot. So I started with sort of terrain and giant tree concept. I definitely started with an environment or two. Get that going. Sawyer's Coding, hello and welcome. Do you have a favorite trick you've come up with? I assume that's in response to the waterline trick. The waterline trick is one of my favorites, at least for this game. Because it's been so useful for floating illustrations on the water that need to look like they're in the water. It's been such a game changer. I'm trying to think of any other. I have a lot of tricks. My bag is very deep, and I have a lot of tricks that are just like old school. Like they're old school tricks. They're not expensive. Everyone wants all these new expensive, like everyone's going, oh, real-time GI and crap like that. Man, my bag is deep. For like very cheap tricks, stuff with vertex color, like just basic stuff, you know, like okay, God rays. These are incredibly expensive in modern games because we do them in the stupidest way imaginable. We literally just like ray march or we do voxel based, you know, voxel based volumetric light. Like, come on, what a waste! Such a waste of resources. I get it if it's a completely procedural world, but if you have a hand authored world, why on earth would you do voxel based volumetric atmospheric stuff? Why would you do it? I don't understand. You can literally just do an add shader on a card, and you can just model a little like crisscrossy and put the add shader with a little gradient on it. And if you want it to track the sun, first of all, it's silly because nobody gives a shit. Nobody will ever notice. So you just put it wherever it looks good. And if you want it to track the sun, if you're for some reason hell bent on that, then just put a little script on it that rotates it with the sun. And it looks better. It looks 1,000 times better than any voxel-based real-time thing will ever get you. And it's 1/1 billionth the performance cost. It costs basically nothing. It's basically free. That's one little trick. That's just random trick, completely irrelevant to what we're talking about. Okay. Ray Castley says, compared to eShade, is this game easier or harder to develop, and has any knowledge from eShade translated to this game or not? Since they are quite different. Oh man. Definitely knowledge is translated. That would be very pathetic if nothing translated. I mean, I literally learned how to code with eShade. I learned Unity with eShade. I did not know anything about Unity before. So definitely tons of things have translated. I mean, tons of game design stuff, tons of technical stuff, tons of business stuff, tons of, you know, just game industry, how to ship a game stuff, hiring stuff, how to lead a team, how to, you know, production stuff, how to stay on schedule, and yeah, all kinds of tax stuff, even how to do accounting and how to start an LLC and all kinds of things. So definitely lots of knowledge translated. In terms of development being harder or easier, the design is much harder because the game is it has a much less clean design, I would say. eShade had a very clean design where there wasn't really a lot of moving parts, and it was just sort of like really adventure game backbone. So that just allowed us to focus on that. I would say this game has, well, the coding is much harder because it has NPCs that go to classes, and they go to bed, and they wake up, and they have different states, and then there's seasons, and everybody moves around all the time, and there's literally thousands of schedules in the game, and the states for the NPCs through quests, they're like always changing of where they're standing. There's also so many more quests in the game, and you can talk to any NPC like who might not be involved in a quest. They might be starting another quest, but they might have some involvement with that other quest. And then you need to make sure that you can always access, you know, what you need to do X quest. You need to make sure that if you start Y quest, that NPC is still available to keep going on X quest. So there's so many things like that have been harder. Performance, though, is a cakewalk compared to eShade. Performance was an absolute nightmare. And this game performance has been very easy so far. due to the top-down nature of it. Honestly, mostly you would think it's due to the graphics rendering, like the fidelity, like the art style. Oh, it's not, you know, high fidelity 3D. That doesn't matter. That's actually not a big deal at all. It's really the fixed camera nature of the game, top down. That's what makes the performance easy. I think that even if I was making a super high fidelity 3D game with a fixed camera, I believe performance will always be much, much easier. Okay, so we got some rocks here. I think that the color value of this rock feels a little wrong. Grotto jumper rock. Let's maybe put a little bit more red into this rock. Let's check out this material and just put a little bit more red into it, trying to match the colors here. And maybe a little bit darker. That's to me, it's sitting a lot better in the scene. And this one is Grotto, Craggy Boulders, Dark. Let's check that one out, and let's go ahead and darken it and add a tiny bit more red. Try to get it to sit a little bit better. Actually, that's maybe too much red. Let's walk that back a little bit. Okay, and I want some more little pebbleoids. Pebbleoids, not to be confused with normal pebble. Pebbleoids are pebbles from a different planet, which is what we need for this game. So I'm just looking for another sea flower. Oops, that's a fizz. We don't want that. We want normal sea flower rocks. Sea flower rocks 4. Stick that in there. Okay, for whatever reason, there's no material on that. Oh, because I just dropped the mesh straight in like a noob. Let's constrain our search to models only. That should make me do less noob-tacular things. So sea flower rock. Yeah, I think that it's probably not as complex as Red Dead Redemption. But it's up there. Red Dead is very complex. Not in the ambient NPCs. I don't think that they're that complex. In the quest related NPCs, there are so many things that happened in Red Dead 2 where I was like, holy shit. Like I started this other quest with this other person. I came back to camp and started this a different quest with that person, and that person was involved in this other quest. And like, oh my God, the state management of a game like that would be incredibly difficult, especially, and then you have all the cutscenes and stuff. It just, that is really remarkable. Rockstar is insane. Completely insane. And people have no idea. They have no idea how complicated game state can get. I mean, part of it is just the design magic of it. I think that it's probably very thoughtfully designed in terms of the dialogue trees and everything. But part of it is just muscle. It's just fighting through it, playing it, realizing that, oh, this quest and this other quest conflict, and figuring out how to design around it, or authoring whatever needs to be authored to, accommodate both. Like, oh, this NPC needs to acknowledge this other thing that can happen only when you're doing, 2% of players are going to be doing this thing and this thing and this thing at the same time, and you're going to get into this really weird situation where the NPC is at this very unsuitable location, like you're right outside a bar right before a big heist or something, and then all of a sudden you can ask them about this other quest that you're doing that is super inconsequential to the moment. And weird narrative moments like that, like, okay, we have to write a line where the NPC says, oh my God, don't ask me about that right now. Otherwise, it's just really tonally weird. And there's like hundreds of those little things. I mean, you try to design around them so you don't have to have them, but it's really hard to manage them all. Game development is one of the hardest things you can complete solo as a product. I think it definitely, especially, I mean, it depends on the game for sure, but yeah, it is very difficult. I'm just moving these rocks a little bit over. I think we need like a Black Rocks Grotto too, because these are way too dark now. Let's go ahead and duplicate this material. It's hard, not just solo, it's hard in a team too. Sometimes I feel like solo development is in certain ways easier because it's hard to get everyone moving in the same direction on a team, and the communication bottleneck is real. Just gonna brighten this rock. I'm gonna add a little bit of glow to it, I guess, extra brightness. Just kind of the wrong value. There we go. Now it's more correct. And then I think we'll also need, I'm going to move a little bit closer. I don't like that little bit of water there. That looks much better. And I'm going to put a water line shader on it. So I'll just move it down a little bit. Like that bottom one. Let me make the bottom one a child of the top one. That should make things easier. And then let's get the water line. How's that? Let's try that. That's a pretty strong water line. I wonder if there's a more subdued water line. It feels like this one is a lot more subdued. Which one is that? This is waterline flat rocks. Let's see if I can get the waterline flat rocks. Waterline flat rocks. Okay, that seems to be the incorrect. No, it's not. It's actually not the incorrect material. It's just a very subtle water line. That water line is actually darker than the water around it. So I don't think that that one's going to work, fortunately. Waterline lake. Waterline lake looks darker. There, that one's better. A little bit. Okay. I think that that is significantly better. The only thing is we need some kind of pebble support over here on this side is the only thing. So just one more Seaflower rocks. Seaflower rocks. And then we'll constrain our search to models. Okay. Ray Castley says, is there anything you've learned while working on this game that will affect your next game? Yeah, for sure. So many little things. One big thing that's coming to mind in terms of design, we have a lot of timed events in this game, like events that happen on certain days. Because this game is broken apart into days. Oops, kind of like carrying forward the farming sim legacy a little bit, and that has been really hard to reconcile with the adventure game backbone, since the player kind of does things on their own timer. It's just been hard sometimes, like, oh, this event happens on day 14, but what if player is doing this other thing? And I think that for the next game, if I have my druthers, we won't have any timed events. Everything will happen according to the player's schedule. Sawyer's Coding, thank you for dropping by the stream. I really appreciate that. Thank you for brightening those rocks in my day. Okay. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, and thanks very much. I'm going to darken my camera a little bit. By the way, let's see. Thank you for the raid. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I'm darkening my camera. Worst moments with 27. My face is so bright. 1 second, folks. Okay. All right, that seems better. Okay, let me pop over to OBS. Yeah, that seems better. Okay, let's see. What do we got here? We've got Ryan Art. Thank you so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. Hello, everyone from Ryan Art, and thank you for the follow as well. If you're new to the stream, the game I'm working on is called Songs of Glimmerwick. It is a Witch Academy RPG where the magic of the world is music. I'm going to pop a link to our Steam page right here. Not to as a plug, but just as a, oh, what game is this person working on? That's typically what people want to see first. Feel free to pop over to the Steam page and you can either watch some of our trailer or just flick through our screenshots and see what this game is all about and what it looks like and all that. Okay, I am well. Beta Dungeons. Landon asks what's happening. We are currently arting this cave. So I'm just adding all these little rocks around the edges of this little pool to make it look more detailed. I was telling folks before, the point of highest contrast in this scene is the pool and then the rock and the line between them. And you just really want to make those lines very detailed to give the overall perception of detail in the scene. To just, make everything look more detailed. The place of highest contrast is always the most important. All right. Ryan Art says, I was working on a tower defense game in C++, SDL2, no game engine. All right, cool. Cool. That's awesome. Ryan Art, love to hear it. Very cool. If you have any, you have like a Steam page or anything of your game, I would love to take a peek at it. Lanid says, so do you have wicks in the game which glimmer? I'd like to see this. Is it a candle? Okay. It's a plug too, and that's fine. That's true. It is my stream, and it is what we're working on here. So you go check it out. Check it out if you want. And if not, that's fine too. Steam page will be up in a month or so. Okay, cool. Have some art here. All right, let's check out the art. Looking cool. All right. I love the foresty vibes. These cool little swirls. Very cool. Thank you for showing it, Ryan Art. Appreciate it. It's like some kind of deck building elements. Right. If you don't promote, who will? It's true. It's true. Okay, so the thing I was saying before we had the raid is I just think that there should be some rocks here. I also think that this rock needs a water line. It just looks like it's floating. It doesn't look like it's actually in the water. So I'm going to duplicate the rock, this rock right here. I'm going to duplicate it and just move it down a little. I'm going to remove its box collider. And I'm going to give it a waterline material, if I can find one. Craggy boulder. It's going to be craggy boulder waterline. There we go. And it looks like we have a couple different waterline materials. So it's literally just the same texture with a little squiggle shader on it. And that makes it look like it's sitting in the water. We look at our game view. You can see now it looks like it has like this water line. It's kind of the wrong value, unfortunately. I think we need a more greenish water line, but maybe I'll worry about that in a moment. I also feel like we've got, let's see, this water line right here, Black Rock Waterline Lake. I want to put that same waterline material on this other waterline. Waterline Lake. There, it's a slightly brighter waterline. And let me save that and see if it's too bright. I don't think it's too bright. What about you? Which one? You're just using straight up waterline. Okay. So I also wanted to add a point light. Let's add a point light and see if that looks good. Point light, I'm going to stick it right around our NPC friend right here. I think it could just use a little bit of brightening in this corner. Let me save that. It's crazy how it makes almost no difference whatsoever. Like, I'm barely seeing a difference. Save. I see literally no difference. I'm going to just crank up the intensity because I cannot see anything. Okay, there we go. So now we're seeing some kind of difference. And yeah, I think it could work. Maybe. I'm just going to create much smaller, and I'm going to add some color into here. Let's maybe try to do like a blue sort of thing. Of course, much less intensity. So unfortunately, we're so close to the ceiling that it's really, this is too bright. It's distracting. I'm just going to move it down, try to make things more even. It still looks really strange. Sorry, folks, 1 second. Okay, I just had to sneeze, you know, got to be aware of the mic. Little desk build, part of the TD. Oh, deck build, I assume. Okay, that gamer says, I wish the city to follow the project. Seems like it'll be comfy in my library. All right. Thank you, that gamer, for the support. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Deck build. Gotcha, gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. Well, this light is just not, it's just illuminating the ceiling so much more than the back wall for whatever reason. I'm trying to get that to balance out. The water is being illuminated, which is kind of cool. I really didn't expect that. I wonder if we move the light out, if that will have maybe a nicer effect. Okay, so now we have a more dramatic cave silhouette in the front. And I'm wondering if we like that. Let me turn down the intensity significantly. Just make the effect way more subtle, and then maybe add a lot more saturation to that blue. I think that's kind of cool. I think it just adds a little bit more drama. Let me turn it off and give it a save. I'm hoping it adds more 3D depth. It does. I do think it adds a little bit more 3D depth, but I don't want to overdo it. So let's just put it at 2. Yeah, it definitely adds a little bit of 3D depth. We'll leave it. I'm going to try walking in our cave now. Let's back up and place our game view in the top. Okay, and we're going to maximize, give it a whirl. Hey, thanks for the raid, Reinhardt. Really appreciate it. And enjoy your snack. Oh, you know, I need to turn off this prefab before we can check it out. Hey. All right, that gamer, thank you very much for the follow. Also, Usarin, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. Kalu333, appreciate the follow, folks. Appreciate it. And Landed, thank you for the kind words. Let's turn that prefab off and then go explore our cave. Walking around our cave. Okay, so here's where we access the cave. This lake here. Walk into our waterfall. And here we go. I think the player should start more back, like closer to the entrance there. Because they're pretty deep in when they go in. But overall, I would say the cave is really coming together. Yeah, I think it's great. The collision needs some work. I don't think I should be able to do that necessarily. This is a little bit weird, but not that weird. I'll definitely move the trigger back a little bit. Also, I think it's weird that you can sort of sea over here. I think we don't want that. We're probably going to want to cover that these parts with black. Also, I don't think I should just be able to walk through like that. So lots of collision work to do, but nothing we can't handle. And let's see, this shop is working. No, shop is not working, right? Oh, okay. We need it to be summer. Okay. Is a secret cave. So we're almost there. I just want the trigger to be further back and wider. Put up a little. And then we need some serious collision work. This rock just looks, I don't know, the water line doesn't look right. I feel like nothing looks right about this rock, and I wonder if we can just remove it and put something better there, like a better rock. Like maybe this one. This rock has more detail anyway. Let's put it here. Maybe we can just flip it so it doesn't, because this is the second time we're using this rock in here. Let's see what that looks like. Give it a save and look through the game view. I think that rock fits better a little bit. Maybe we can do a Grotto 2, slightly lighter version of the rock. Okay, that looks, for whatever reason, really out of place. I feel like we need a brightness in between these two. Turn down that extra brightness. Turn it way down. Something like that. Something like that. Okay. So let's grab that rock, and I'm going to move it a little bit more. Ah, come on. Move it a little bit more into the foreground. And then I will just duplicate it and push it down a little bit. And I'm just going to make that duplicate a child of itself. Now, why am I double stacking the rock like that? Because I'm going to make one a water line. Just select water line on that. And now it should look like it's intersecting with the water. Give it a save. I think we might even need another rock in front of it. Like, it's almost like I just want rocks going all the way out into the foreground. Maybe we can duplicate like this one over here. See about maybe just putting this like right here. Something like that. And maybe we don't even need a water line on it. Cool. And then I'll do the same thing over here. I think I can just reuse that exact same arrangement. And I don't think it'll matter because it's so far in the foreground, I think people aren't really going to be seeing it. So I want this black plane. I want it to actually extend all the way over here so you can't see what's going on that side. Now it should just be black. Now I don't want it to be intersecting with that rock like that. That's not my preference. Let's just move it out a little bit like that. And then we'll also need one over here. What is this giant thing? Oh, that's just more rock. Okay. I think we'll need another plane to go like maybe here. Something like that. To cover up all that. Try that. Actually, you know, if I could get this plane to actually be covering some of that, some of the left side of those rocks, I think that'd be good. Of course, we've got it cutting into the rock again, which I don't want. You know, maybe I'll just put it like that, and then we'll make a smaller plane. I just want to cover all this stuff with black. Okay. That seems pretty good. And then we want that starting point to be moved back. First of all, I want to make sure it's actually on the ground. I don't think it is right now. There we go. And just move it back closer to where I'd imagine is where you'd actually enter. And here is the trigger for when you pass. We'll put the entry right there. And I just want to make sure it's facing the correct direction as well, because it looks like it's not facing. Give it a save. And we want the player's back to be facing the camera when we first enter. Let's try that. Okay. Okay. We started way over here. I think that might be a nav mesh issue. Oh, and when we get close to here, obviously that's a problem. We need a lot more water. This should honestly be like white foam. Like you're walking out through the waterfall. But overall, looking pretty good. Let's grab that water. Water, come on. There's so much crap in the way. It's this one. There it is. There's the water. And I'm just going to extend it all the way into the foreground here. And then what I'd love is just a white foam gradient, which I don't actually know if we have, but I'll try. What kind of foam? River foam? Not what we want. Something white. Glow white. It's not what we want. Okay. Mountain River white. That'll work. I mean, it's kind of the wrong value. But I'm just going to put it all across this entire thing. Now these black planes are getting in the way because we don't want that weird. Yeah, let's stick that plane further down. Rotation is very annoying. There it goes. Okay, that's better. Something like that. And we really want to see what it looks like from the camera's angle. Let's see what that looks like. Because there's just a waterfall right there at the front. Okay, so I didn't even see it, which is good. I think I'll see it if I zoom in. There we go. So it's just the wrong value. Definitely the wrong value. Let's get that other lighter one. I think that was a better value. It's in the right place though. Mountain River white. Let's change it to white 2. It's in the right place and I want it to be like fadier. So like a longer fade. I also think this particle, this should be spitting more of these. So I'm just going to increase the emission rate of these like 100. Maybe even more than that. 120. Okay, and we just make a more subtle fade. I think that'll look a lot better. Got going on right there. Let's rotate that. I think that will actually look dope because it looks good. Just like that transition looks really nice right there. So I think that it will look perfect. Run into this waterfall area and check it out. Okay, that so far looks great. And I zoom in, and I think that that's pretty good. You know that we've got the caustics there, and it's just sort of white down here, which makes sense. And then you walk into it, and you leave. Seems like there's something we're seeing. Oh, it's the water ending. I don't know why she starts so far. It's got to be the nav mesh. It's got to be. I'll give it a check because it doesn't seem right. Also, I hate how that water line is cutting off into the water. All the water lines in here are too thick. Also got this water right here. It just looks like it needs to be pushed this way, just to give it more leeway here. Valley of the Wind, hello, says I'm seeing a transparent box. Bottom left. Oh, Twitch chat. Oh, okay. So this, I'm just gonna move up. It should decrease the thickness of the water line. Move this one up as well. Make a thinner water line. Yeah, really pleased with that. Really, really pleased with that. Cool. I'll give it one final check. It's really cool. I think that, you know, whenever we're like designing environments for the game, we want people to have these like, oh shit moments, like, whoa, you know, like crazy. And I think that many, 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 many players would try to go into this waterfall just because, you know, it's a video game thing. They'll just swim right into it and they'll get this. And I think that they'll lose their minds. One problem is we need to make sure this guy just sells seeds from any season, which is kind of cool, but we might need something a little bit more to happen in here. I don't know. I don't know why there's no wake happening when you walk around, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's clap. All right. Oh, let's do collision. Let's not neglect collision. All right, good to know, Ray Castley. So for the collision of this place, I think we're gonna have to do. I think we're gonna have to like draw it because I just want a really clean wall. I might have to use Pro Builder, which I hate to do. Freaking hate Pro Builder. But I don't really see any easier way. Kind of got everything in Unity. I think it'll just be the easiest way. Let's add a new 3D object. Pro Builder cube. I actually want a Pro Builder wall. Let's add an empty. And let's call this collision wall. I'll give it a little tag here. And I'll add Pro Builder. Okay, well, I don't know how to do it, so I'll just give it a save and we'll back up. We'll go to the other walls in the game. I'll search for wall. We have many walls. City wall. City wall. And it looks like it's a poly shape and a mesh and all. I'll just copy this component and then we'll go back into the city cave, cove, maybe cove, city cove, city waterfall cove. Go in there. I'll just go ahead and paste this entire object in here. And we'll just call this coal walls like we wanted to. Already has a little tag and just put it at 000. We'll delete the other one. And here we go. Now we're off to the races. We'll move it up just so it's kind of level with the water. And there's really not much extrusion needed. Oh, maybe we do need more than that actually. It looks like it's scaled, so we don't want that. Let's make sure it starts really low below everything. We don't want to be able to swim under it. And then we'll go ahead and edit the shape. Start by putting a point all the way over here. The next point, like right here. Basically, I just want to make a basic horseshoe shape to start. Okay. Here's a basic horseshoe shape. Delete this one. Oh my God. Okay, backspace is how we delete. And I just want these walls to maybe just go all the way out here, make sure players can't get around the sides. And then we can start detailing. So I will allow players to walk on this platform, and then I'll just sort of look down on this. And we just don't want them to be able to walk all into these rocks here. We'll just put some shapes around, whoa. Yeah, some shapes around these rocks. Okay, keeping track of this act. And I don't want players to be able to walk onto this rock either, so we'll just make a shape here. Don't want them to walk into these. It's really hard to tell what's going on here. Like this one is completely whacked out, so. I don't want players to be able to walk this way. Don't need them to be able to walk behind this rock. And then, yeah, we'll just, there we go, it's done. At least the right side of it is done. Samet Alok, thank you very much for the follow, appreciate it. I will let people walk up into that little cove there if they want. I can even let people walk onto that rock. I'm okay with that. But I don't want their heads to clip through this little part that sticks out, so sure to give that some collision. And then we'll make sure to give these rocks collision as well. And I think we're good now. I don't think that players can't get that far into this, so. These rocks, players might be able to walk through. Be kind of weird, but maybe it'll feel fine. Let me give it a save and run in there and see if it. Actually, you know what we can do? We can turn on the mesh render. Gives us a really good idea of where the walls are. Everything looks pretty good. The only thing is, since, you know, players can walk, we need, I guess, taller walls. That should be good. And they shouldn't be able to get up here. So turn that off, give that a save. Back up, take one final run in there, and then I have to call it a stream. Okay. So let's just try to bop up into the walls here. It's looking good. I can't run over these. I think that that's correct. This is a little weird that I can get back here. I actually don't even think that's necessary. This is good. Feels good. Yep, correct. So all that feels good except for that one little cove we had right here. There's no reason why player should need to do that, but we won't have that. This is very strange that you can walk right into these rocks right here. I don't really know the solution to that. Because we can't really put them lower because that's where they need to be in terms of perspective. I can walk onto this rock and that's fine with me. Walk right down. This is weird. You can kind of clip through these, but not the end of the world. I'm pretty unpicky about collision, which is kind of unfortunate because some players are very picky about collision. Like they're very, very, very picky about collision. And they actually see it as one of the main signs of quality in a game, even though it's completely trivial and stupid. I guess some people find it very immersion breaking, they would call it, when their character can clip through something. I don't really know what to do about these rocks. These ones I think I can just sort of pull this away a little. Anyhow, I'm gonna have to call it a stream there. Hey, thank you, Ash and Rust Dev. Thank you. All right. Yep, I'm gonna have to call it a stream there. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me. If you're new to the stream, please feel free to pop over to our Steam page and check out Songs of Glimmerwick and see if it's your cup of tea. It's a Witch Academy RPG where the magic of the world is music. I think you're really gonna like it. It's gonna be a banger of a game. I think you're really gonna enjoy it. So give it a wish list. That's your thing. And thanks everyone for dropping by. And hopefully I'll catch some of y'all next time. All right, see ya.